In the past month, my mother has started accusing me of breaking into her house, stealing things, or moving her things around. And whenever I call her, she accuses me and then she hangs up the phone. It is starting to negatively impact my own health and wellness, but then I feel guilty for not helping her. I am overwhelmed and stressed. How do I calm down and accept that right now I'm enemy number one? Firstly, I want to say that I'm very sorry that you're experiencing this. I would recommend that you register to attend my next workshop where I go over what you can consider doing in order to go from being an overwhelmed daughter of dementia to an empowered daughter of dementia. I will drop the link in the show notes today. But back to your question. When a person living with dementia starts to believe things like somebody coming into their house or somebody stealing things or moving their items around, that is called a delusion. Sometimes the delusion develops because when you cannot remember that you actually did something, then it becomes easy to fabricate a reason that makes sense to you to explain what happened, right? Just think about that. You don't remember where you put something, so therefore somebody did it, correct? But having a delusion like this does tell me a little bit about where in her dementia journey your mom might actually be. Here are three things that jump right out at me from what you've described. The first thing I want to say is, if this was a sudden change, if, for example, overnight or over a very short period of time, your mom started to have these delusions, she might need to be checked for an infection, like a urinary tract infection or a lung infection or anything like that. Because a sudden change, like a delusion or paranoia or any other behavioral change that is sudden, could be a sign of an underlying medical condition that can be treated. So consider if she might need to be checked out for a form of infection. The second thing that jumped right out at me is that your mom may be struggling to comprehend how to speak on a phone anymore. I had this happen with my mother. She can communicate face-to-face with me, but on a phone, it is too abstract and too confusing to her. So perhaps calling her is not good for either her or you. You might consider other ways of monitoring her or communicating with her using either remote cameras so you can see what's going on in the house, or even a product called Sociavi, which I'll also put in the show notes, which is a way of communicating with her via a video camera feed. The last thing that jumped out at me is, if it wasn't a sudden change, that it might be a sign of your mom's dementia advancing, and you might need to consider if she is still safe to live alone. Any person living with dementia who lives long enough will not be able to live alone, and they will need supervision for safety. Do you have a plan put in place for the next phase of this journey, for if or when, not if, but when mom cannot live alone anymore? Because I know from my 30 years of working in healthcare as an occupational therapist, even if my patient's family wasn't ready for 24-hour care, at some point, the crisis always forced them to provide 24-hour care. But what happened was, then the crisis dictated the solution, and not you dictating the solution to the problem of needing 24-hour care. 24-hour care is inevitable in a dementia journey. But if you are proactive and put a plan in place before you need it, you end up being in control of the situation. You know then from the beginning what you're willing to do, and you know when you need to put these solutions in place. And you can do it before the crisis hits, which then actually ends up decreasing your stress and anxiety and helps you keep control of your own life and your own health. I call this an imperfect, perfect plan. So if you liked this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's called Think Different Dementia, and I will see you soon. And as I always say, may the Lord bless you and keep you.